All right, congratulations. You've made it to level 4 of Crossroads of America. In this level, we will cover Indiana's plants and animals, as well as the type of weather that we have in Indiana. It's titled Indiana's Hydrosphere and Biosphere. In your textbook, it's covered on pages 28 to 33. Let's look at our important words to know for this level. These are vocabulary words that you'll be tested on when we complete the level and that you'll see throughout each mission. Climate, precipitation, drought, tornado, hydrosphere, biosphere. The climate is the pattern of weather a place has over a long period of time. Precipitation is the water that falls to earth as rain, sleet, hail, or snow. A drought is a long period of time with little or no precipitation. A tornado is a funnel-shaped spinning windstorm. Hydrosphere is a system of water below, on, or above Earth's surface. And biosphere refers to Earth's living things and the environment that they live in. Let's look at our mission objective for Mission 1. It's on Indiana's hydrosphere. Remember, that is the water on, above, and below Earth's surface. It's to identify Indiana's climate and weather, to describe Indiana's hydrosphere. Our challenge questions that you'll answer at the end of this mission. What causes seasons to change in Indiana? What is the difference between climate and weather? Because they're not the same thing. What is Indiana's climate? What type of weather does Indiana have? You need to be able to describe the water cycle. And how does Lake Michigan affect Indiana's weather? Let's remember about our big question. What is special or unique about the geography and culture of Indiana? This level will still mostly be focusing on Indiana's geography. But again, as I said previously, you should have a somewhat clear picture about what's unique about Indiana's geography at this point. Let's talk about seasons. In Indiana, temperature and the amount of daylight change as seasons change. So as we go from one season to another, the temperature is going to change, as well as the amount of sunshine is going to change as the year progresses. And this happens because the relationship between Earth's tilt and the sun. Remember that Earth has an invisible axis, and it's tilted in relation to the sun. While the tilt never changes, its relationship to the sun does change. Earth rotates on this axis as it travels around the sun. One trip around the sun equals 1 year. One trip around the sun equals 1 year. And because Earth's axis is tilted, the northern and southern hemispheres are never tilted toward the sun at the same time. At one time, the northern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun. At another time of the year, the southern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun. And because there's that difference, this causes us to have seasons. Here you can see this in a diagram. Notice the relationship between the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. When this northern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun, here's the northern hemisphere when it's tilted toward the sun. It's our June. Notice here's the northern hemisphere and it's tilted toward the sun. When the southern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun, here's the southern hemisphere, and now that's tilted toward the sun. It is winter for us. But if we lived in the southern hemisphere, it would be summer. It just depends on where you live. Let's talk about climate versus weather. We want to know, how is weather different from climate? Because it is. Sometimes we use them to mean the same thing, but they really are different. Weather and climate are two different things. Weather refers to the current conditions that we observe on Earth. So is it sunny? Is it snowy? Is it rainy? Is it cloudy? Is it foggy? Is it warm? Is it cold? That is weather. Climate, on the other hand, is the kind of weather that an area has year after year after year. It's a pattern. Based off of the pattern of weather, scientists are able to determine what type of climate an area has. They look at that climate, the pattern, to determine the climate. Scientists call Indiana's climate temperate. That means that it's neither hot nor very cold. It may seem like sometimes it's really hot or it's really cold, but really compared to the most extreme hot temperatures and the most extreme cold temperatures, it's really not that cold. So Indiana's climate is temperate. Indiana has 4 very different seasons. If you've lived here for a long time, you should know that's not different from any other city or state or region. Summer is the hottest because the Gulf of Mexico pushes warm air north. Fall has lower temperatures, but still sunny skies. That's the season that we're very close to right now. Winter is the coldest because of the icy air that sweeps down from Canada and the Great Lakes. Snow may also come with this cold air. And thankfully, after winter, spring rolls around and it brings warmer temperature, but also lots of rain. Many types of weather appear throughout the 4 seasons of Indiana. Tornadoes may happen during spring or summer. And you're going to read later in your Indiana Studies Weekly about tornadoes. In week 4, it tells more about tornadoes, how they happen, and what we can do to stay safe. Precipitation, that's water that falls from the sky, remember, falls throughout the year. Rain, sleet, hail, and snow are all examples of precipitation. In summer and spring, see the most precipitation. Unfortunately, sometimes droughts occur throughout the year, and that means that there are long periods when there is little or no precipitation. And that's not good for the earth. We need that precipitation to grow food for both us and other animals. Precipitation in Indiana is caused by the water cycle. Now there are 4 stages to the water cycle. Precipitation is one stage, and it releases water as rain, sleet, hail, or snow. Another stage of the water cycle is collection. Collection happens when the precipitation that has fallen to the ground flows towards the ocean. It's runoff, in other words. During the evaporation stage, the sun heats the water and turns it to water vapor. You should see a similarity between evaporation and water vapor. That's like water air, basically. And then condensation causes the water vapor to form clouds. Here you see a diagram of the water cycle. You'll need to know what the different stages are and maybe even how to identify them on a diagram yourself. Here you see collection is occurring when water is on the ground. Eventually that will evaporate because of the sun, and it will go to the sky. From there, it will go to the form of clouds as condensation, and eventually it will go to back to precipitation. It is a cycle. So it starts as collection, right down here. Then that evaporates because of the sun, and now it's just existing up here in the sky in the form of water vapor. It's invisible water, basically, and it gets in a cloud, and eventually it will fall back to Earth in the form of precipitation. And that way, water is a renewable resource. It will never go away as long as it continues to rain. Lake effect. This is an important feature for Indiana's climate and the weather patterns that we see. Lake Michigan in northwest Indiana affects the weather of Indiana. That's because during the summer month, when it's really hot, Lake Michigan will collect the heat that comes from the sun. So all of that heat is being stored in that water. Water will store that heat that occurs from the summer. However, during the winter month when it's colder and the water is beginning to change temperature, that heat gets released, and it gets released into the air. And as cold wind blows across the warmer air that's above the lake, they will pick up moisture and begin to form clouds. And because it's the winter, when those clouds come over colder land, they release snow. This is why a lot of the times northwest Indiana, where we don't live, will receive much more snow. In Chicago, which is also in Illinois, but also near Lake Michigan, those areas will receive more snow than we do in Fort Wayne because they are close to Lake Michigan and they receive that lake effect snow. So here's this diagram that gives a little better picture about what exactly happens. So it's been summer. Lake Michigan has collected this warmer water here. Well, now it's being released. And as the colder air comes this way, it's going to pick it up to form clouds. And then when it comes over colder land that doesn't store heat as well, it will fall down to the earth as precipitation in the form of snow. This is going to be the end of Mission 1 of Level 4. Make sure that you've taken good notes, that you understand the water cycle, that you understand lake effect snow, and that you understand the difference between climate and weather. If you have any questions, please let me know. But you will need to make sure your notes are filled out, as I said. Right now, answer your challenge questions to prepare you for the checkpoint. And I will see you after you reach your 80%. And I will see you in Mission 2 of Level 4 in Crossroads of America.